When I was 15, we went fishing, and that night in May 7th, an accident happened. It was my brother, my nephew. My brother was 13, my nephew was 11, I was 15, my dad and my brother-in-law. We pushed the boat off, and my brother-in-law was trying to start the engine, and it wouldn't start. Finally, the motor started, and when it did, it revved up real high. And so the boat took off, and then he shut it off, and it dipped. And it dipped a second time, and when it did, it went under the water. It seemed like I saw my dad standing there. It's his son. It's like he was saying, he's gone. And he just went down. They all drowned. The boat was a flat-bottom boat. It went down and came back up and hit me in my feet, and I grabbed hold of it. I could hear somebody trying to start a motor, and then the next thing I knew, this man and woman came up in a boat. There had been a couple of coves over. We were in a cove, back in a cove, water about 10 foot deep, and they came and pulled me out of the water. I remember my dad's hat floating, and I picked it up, and they got me to the dock and laid me down on the dock. And this time, people from way down at a restaurant apparently had heard me yelling, and they had came up, and that's all I remember. And then someone had called my mother and sister, because we had been at my sister's house up the road. And I remember hearing my mother say, "Oh my God, they're all gone." Then I went to Ranger School, and then I went to Vietnam in January of '71. And I was in the infantry for a little over half the time I was there. One morning, we had a booby trap set out on this trail, and it went off before we went out and picked it up. It was already daylight, probably 6:30 or so. And when we went there, there was 4 people that were dead. I remember one of them had a knife on him, okay? And that knife, you know how on a knife you have a guard so that you don't get onto the cutting edge. And it was a homemade knife, and that guard was the dog tag of a GI. You can imagine the reaction that I had in my mind. But I had to deal with that. Not then, I didn't deal with it then. It didn't, at that time, too many other things going on. I did share that with somebody, and the Lord's helped me get over that and deal with that feeling. You know, how can you love the Lord and keep that in your heart? You have to bring it out. You have to get that out. I deal with things every day, internally, okay? I don't mean to make a point of this, but your PTSD and other things, families and what have you, your family life and what have you, I need fellowship. I need fellowship. I need fellowship. Now, how do you get that fellowship? Well, you get fellowship when you come to church. My strength and fellowship at this point has really come from Pastor Wesley and Pastor Mike, but also Brother Dave, Big Dave, and then Brother Steve and his wife Ellen. You know, it's the fellowship. That's what it's done for me. That's how it's impacted me, to know that I'm part of the family. It's family. The Lord has led us to multiply Harrisburg because He knew that we needed a church that was Spirit-led, by a pastor that was anointed, where the family of the Lord comes together and worships the Lord Jesus Christ and works to help bring the word to others who are lost so that their lives can be changed.